For those of you that don't know, I am Mike Martzoff. I am the chairman of the Bouse Booster Club, and most of these members up here are the board members. I'm not going to bore you with a lot of club nonsense tonight. I am going to just tell you we've been real busy over the summer with the help of the IDA. We have purchased new mini splits that are in the building, all new windows, the roof has been repaired, and our building is going to be secure for another 50 years.
Yay!
We did have another minor accident the other day. I see Harley's here. We had a propane leak out back. Harley was recruited, bless his heart, to move the propane tank, and he found the only live water line on the property. So, with a little help from friends, we got it all fixed, and we're back in business. So, other than that, we're looking forward to, well, the other thing I forgot is our bingo system. For those of you that play bingo, we are all new with bingo. We are all digital this year. So when we start bingo for money the first week in November, you'll get to see our new system all work. So I thank you all for coming. I guess you all know why we're here. Carrie Ann, if you'd come up, if there's any questions about the Booster Club, I'd be happy to answer. Otherwise, I'm going to turn this meeting over to Carrie Ann. Thank you.
Thank you. For those of you who have not met me yet, my name is Carrie Ann Milkner. I live down between 41 and 42. We had a meeting last week for the chamber, and it was requested that we get a town meeting together to talk about some of the elevated levels of crime going on around in our neighborhood, seeing if once again we can start, working together with each other, if there's some tips or tools that our sheriff's going to hand over to us that might help us stay a little safer, what we can do to make things a little easier for the attorney to follow through all the way to the court and get some things happening in that direction. That would be fantastic. Before I pass it off to the sheriff, I wanted to talk a minute about Heliogen, because I'm hearing all kinds of rumors all over the place about that project. Heliogen is a project happening down on 42 close to Brenda, for those that haven't heard about it yet. It's on BLM land. They are drilling wells right now as part of their process to get approval from BLM to lease it long-term for a hydrogen plant. Their process through BLM, I have not heard any different in that it is still moving forward. What has happened is that they had put in an application with the county to change the land use designation in our comprehensive plan, and they pulled that application last week and decided not to go through with it this year. So that is only the county process of it. If somebody has heard differently from BLM, I would love to hear from you. But as far as I know, they are still working towards their project. I spoke with a lady from BLM 2 weeks ago now who is working on that lease project, and she said to me that they are a long ways away from having all of their steps done in order for BLM to look at it again and to decide whether or not they're going to deny the program outright or if they're going to bring it to public comment. So the reason you haven't seen it at public comment yet is because they're not there yet. She also said to me that she cannot see how that project will be approved by BLM because of the water usage it requires, and that the Raingrass Basin is not a real refillable basin. It's ancient water down there and will get depleted too quickly. So please don't panic yet at this point. We'll keep information coming as we get it. Are there any questions about Heliogen? Yes.
I have one right now. If they're just doing test wells, how come they're putting 3 12 to 14-inch wells? Each one of those has got to be over $500,000 each. Who's going to spend $1.5 million if they know they're not going to finish that project?
They're investors.
I understand that, but they don't
Yeah.
nobody likes losing that kind of money.
No, but they are putting up quite the campaign for it going through. And I can't speak to why they're spending the money that they're spending other than they're getting money in and it's paying their employees and it's paying the company to stay afloat. I certainly don't represent Heliogen in any way. I'm just passing on information that I received by making those phone calls. But my understanding of those wells is it is required of them in order to do the testing that is required for them to keep moving forward in the BLM process. That's all I know about that.
What's the name of the company again?
Heliogen.
What's that?
Heliogen.
H-E-L.
Huh?
H-E-L.
Yeah.
H. H is in Harry. I'll write it down for you,
Yes, Judge.
What's
If this has been going on so long, how come our supervisors claim they know nothing about it and haven't said a word?
George, I'm not a supervisor yet. You have to wait till next year. I don't know why they haven't told us.
Remind
yet.
them.
Any other questions about Heliogen?
Yeah,
Yeah.
what's the absolute earliest process to get involved as a citizens here that don't want us to go through? Wait till the question and answer when they've already done everything and the question and answers don't mean anything? Like, where's the information we need to stop this now?
Yeah, because before you know it, there's gonna be a plant out there that's gonna be polluting. There are others that live out there, 42 and live on that water.
We all do. This is all rain grass from Bouse all the way to Brenda, so I feel you there. I am currently writing up a petition that I would like to start circulating around that we can send not only to BLM to make them aware of how we feel about it, but also to the state. Because right now the state is looking very closely at our water and I want them to keep looking at it for projects like this. So in the next, I meant to bring it today and I forgot, I'm sorry. So that petition is coming out. We will figure out whether it's gonna be here or at the library or wherever I can post it, and you guys can sign it at will.
For those of
Yes,
you that don't
Where's our
know,
supervisor today that we have right here? Was he
Okay.
invited?
so yes,
hydrogen's
Mr. Minor was invited. He,
batteries.
I actually just saw him in Quartzsite a couple hours ago. He was on his way to Kingman for a previous engagement. So he wasn't able to attend today. Keep in mind that we just planned this event, this meeting right here. We planned it, started making phone calls, I believe, Wednesday and Thursday. So we contacted Mr. Minor, Tony Rogers, and we do have a representative from Mr. Rogers' office here to speak as well. Sheriff Ponce, obviously, because if we didn't call him, he wouldn't be here. Let's see, we've got Richard Garcia is here, our county recorder. There he is. Who else did we invite? Well, we invited John, of course, our reporter for the Parker Pioneer. Anybody else? The judge was not able to, was not in the position to come and talk about this. So hopefully we'll get the answers at this level that we need. I can't think of anyone else that we called. We did.
That was it.
That was it. So, with that, I'm gonna, one more question.
Well, with this meeting like that, don't you think somebody from that hydrogen company should have been invited to this meeting and showed up to answer questions? If this meeting was directed at them?
Well, this meeting wasn't really directed at them. This was just, I had made some phone calls to try and get down to the bottom of where the rumors were and try and get the information from the horse's mouth. So this meeting was really scheduled because of the uptick of crime around here. And I just wanted to fill people in on the information that I've gathered at this point.
We can certainly schedule another one just for them.
There you go. Mike is happy to open his doors and we can do this at another time, specifically for Heliogen.
I'm sorry, this is not related to Heliogen, but it is water. What about the hayfield that's up there? We heard on the news that the governor was shutting the Saudi Arabia hay farm that's up on Butler Valley Road. That
That
it was
is-
shutting it down?
That is my understanding as well, but I've also heard that Fondamonte is challenging that in court. But I will say that that is hearsay, I don't have that to fact.
I read an article on it yesterday. The fact is that there's a lot of other companies over here that are not Fondamonte, but they're also Saudi companies, and they're gonna take over that lease as soon as it's dropped. There'll be another Saudi company taking over that lease. Just gonna get a little more cash for the state out of it is all it's gonna be.
Well, that sucks.
Yeah, because they still don't care about our water. And I've been out there on the side by side and literally had to go through mud
Exactly.
150 yards away from their farm where they're overflowing
Where
the
they're
water.
running over, exactly.
These would be good questions, and if we are gonna have a meeting dedicated to Heliogen, that I would definitely encourage inviting, our District 3 County Supervisor, Holly Irwin, because she has been dealing with the state and the water issue, and is probably the most knowledgeable about it. So if the group wants to move forward with that kind of a meeting,
Another
then
meeting.
I will try and arrange that.
I
But
think
tonight,
it's a
let's
good
talk
idea.
about crime.
Hey,
Let's do
crime.
that. Without further ado, I'm going to introduce Sheriff Ponce. I think everybody knows him. And I'm also going to introduce Rachel Shackelford
Yes, perfect.
from Mr. Rogers' office to take over from here. Thanks, guys.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for having us. As stated, this is Chief Deputy Rachel Shackelford from Tony Rogers' office. And we're here to have basically like a Q&A. If you guys have questions and concerns, with today's the day to voice them, and we're gonna answer your questions as best as possible. You agree?
Exactly, I agree.
Okay. So, Barry, you got a question?
First of all, I'd like to thank you for the presence of your officers in Bouse. And I think everybody's really thankful that we're getting more presence of the sheriff's department here in Bouse, and you're doing a great job.
Well, I appreciate that. You remember when I was running, I was committed to providing a greater presence in Bouse, to making sure that my deputies were in their districts. So I've been told by numerous people that that's what's happening. I know that my lieutenant, Angelo Jimenez, who's seated over here in the black polo shirt, he is overseeing the patrol division, and he ensures that we are making sure that we have deputies out here day in and day out. Sergeant Padilla is our patrol sergeant for the shift. He's out here today. And I know there's other deputies that have been out today, but they're out here all the time, frequently. That is one of the things that I wanted to make sure, and I continue to focus on that through every day. These guys know I'm on them. Are we getting out to Bouse and to District 3? Because I know we wouldn't, in the previous administration, we didn't have that presence out here. So I was committed to making sure we had it. Yes, sir.
Why do we have presence of the sheriff sitting in the middle of the 10 freeway?
Well, because we have a program called Operation Stone Garden from the federal government that requires us to work with the U.S. Border Patrol to try to mitigate things like fentanyl trafficking, human trafficking, money trafficking, because it's coming through our area. So we are in cooperation with the U.S. Border Patrol in that operation. So you're gonna see deputies out there, but my deputies know that their primary focus is if they are in a district, on a district duty assignment, that they need to be in their district. Now when we do Stone Garden, you're gonna see deputies out there that are specifically assigned to Operation Stone Garden. I was committed that I said my deputies that are on district duty will not be sitting on the freeway and not be patrolling the neighborhoods. I said, when you're Stone Garden, then you can go out there and work those details. But if you are on assignment, on a shift, then you gotta be in your district. If you're District 3, which is Bouse, Salome, Wyndham, that area here, then you need to be in District 3. If you're District 2, which is Ehrenberg, Cibola, La Paz Valley, Rainbow Acres, then you need to be in that district. And so on and so forth.
What
Jordan.
about the semi going through Bouse?
Well, we have a deputy that I hired specifically for traffic enforcement. And if you haven't seen him, I'm surprised. Because he sits over here in Roadrunner all the time, writing tickets.
Well, you gotta get a faster car.
I'm working on that, actually. I'm telling you right now, I'm trying to figure out a way to get a Dodge Challenger. And I'm gonna get one before the end of my term. So we can do some heavy traffic enforcement. Right now, if y'all know, the last 30 vehicles that my department has purchased has not been to the taxpayer dollars here. That's through other special revenues and grants that I've obtained. 30 vehicles. Didn't cost this county a dime. That's important to me because our cars, when I got here, were well over 200,000 miles. They were breaking down every day. Now, we still have a similar problem, but we have reduced it greatly. You have a question in the back, ma'am?
Yes, when you and Tony both were running for office, you both talked about having meetings together to see how you could push some of these issues through to the court instead of people getting arrested and then turning around and they're right back. How many meetings have you and Tony had this year?
This year, I can say half a dozen this year, but I can tell you that I've met with John Bennett, I met with Barry Drews on multiple occasions in reference to this issues out here. I have a deputy that previously was Detective Draper. When he was employed by us, he was the liaison for Bouse.
So have you and Tony worked anything out to help where you're working together to bring some of these to court instead of just picking them up and bringing them back and using that?
I can tell you that we have someone in custody right now. I can't speak as to the detail of it, but I can tell you that there's one person in custody, and we continue to speak greatly. Rachel and I met yesterday to follow up on another case. Again, I can't talk about the case specifically, but we continue to have these meetings. As I stated, Detective Quintana replaced Detective Draper as the liaison for Bouse. He's here today, and he communicates with the individuals that I spoke about, and he maintains up-to-date information on what burglaries are occurring, who's committing them, if we have knowledge, and we share that with our deputies to make sure that we get out there and start looking for them. And I know that my staff is doing so. I'm gonna let Rachel speak a little further.
And so we're always trying to find because there's always gonna be holes in the communication. And so Sheriff Ponce and Tony have been really diligent trying to find those holes, plug those holes, and ensure that we're having better communication, which means better communication in writing, better communication to the law enforcement officers on what we're requesting, and better communication of them providing it to us. So we have proactively been working on fostering that communication. When it comes, you mentioned about the judges, we can't discuss with judges individual cases. We can only do that on the record. But we are having regular communications with the judges just to make sure that the procedures are going forward so that they're getting what they need and so that we are complying with what the judges want to see.
I want to tell you one thing about the crime that we're seeing in our area. Some of it may be related to individuals here. We know who some of those people are, but I'm going to tell you that it reaches further than our county. We're seeing criminals from Maricopa County coming into Salome, Winden, Bouse, committing thefts and burglaries of unoccupied homes of people that are snowbirds typically because they watch. They're doing their reconnaissance, and then they're committing the crimes and they're going back to Maricopa County. Our detectives are also well versed and well communicated with these other detectives in these other counties, trying to make sure that we're closing all the gaps, dotting all the I's and crossing the T's to make sure that we can get, if we can get them here or if we can get them in Maricopa County, then it's a win for all of us, right?
Yeah. Right.
So we are being very mindful of what's going on. Yes, sir.
Is it possible to post pictures of those people online someplace?
Or in the newspaper.
They used to. Open season.
These are criminals, watch out for them in your area.
So I'm gonna let Rachel answer that, because her and I had this similar discussion. We didn't talk about pictures specifically, but we did talk about some type of.
We need a face.
So-
I've been doing over myself here lately, so I have a face with certain people.
And I wish we could, and other states have different rules with regard to what we can post on the internet with social media. If everybody's ever heard of Florida Man, well, Florida has different rules that everything goes up on the internet. Everything's made available. Arizona rules are just a little bit different. That limits what we can put on the internet and limits what publicity we can put out before a case is adjudicated. So by adjudicated, I mean before it goes to trial. We're limited on what we can put out because of the rules of Arizona and the rules for lawyers.
I get it if they have not been convicted, but if they have already been convicted of a crime in this area, can that not be posted up if this person has been convicted of theft or whatever's in this? Because it's the same people over and over. Or if they have a warrant.
If they have a warrant, I believe we can post for warrant purposes. It's gonna say the warrant, whatever it is. But yeah, we can start looking into some of these things a little further, because we have had those discussions, but we will start to move forward on that. Yes, sir.
I just like to know the system itself. When these people are getting busted for breaking in or anything, everybody seems to know who they are and all that. Why is the system allowing them out right away? You get them in jail and OR them the next day. Why? And then they come right back.
So I'm gonna answer to that a little bit, and then I'm gonna let Rachel speak on it as well. So one of the problems that we have, and you've seen it nationally, not just locally, nationally, they don't wanna keep people incarcerated, because they're saying that's not effective. We all have different views on that, we all have different thoughts on that. Hey, I'm not gonna, but I'm gonna say that that's one of the biggest problems you see nationally, that there's a big push to not keep people incarcerated, because they're saying it's not effective, it's creating further problems.
Gotta keep the crime rate down.
Gotta keep the crime rate up to get.
And just locally, our judges are getting a lot of pressure from the Arizona Supreme Court to not keep everyone in custody, to release people if they don't have criminal history, or if they haven't had a record of failing to appear for court.
Yeah, but
So,
in other words, what I'm trying to get, once they commit murder, then you're gonna be able to effectively take care of that person. It doesn't make sense to me. We know they're cracking, we know they're gonna be breaking in the house. You know, we know the system where it's supposed to work. We know that, like you said, in other areas, every time I turn on the damn TV in the morning, somebody's getting shot somewhere. And there's no, why? What, the guns ain't killing the people, people are killing people.
and what the lower court judges are looking at is what there is on their criminal history, not obviously what the community knows, because you guys know a lot more about some of these people than what's reflected on their criminal history, what's they've been looked for and convicted of. So that's what the judges are looking for.
I'm sorry.
You know, and let me just real quick finish the thought, and then I definitely want to hear from you. What we'll advocate for trying to keep people in custody, we'll certainly put forth the argument to the court, but in the end, the judge is the one who's going to make the decision. And whether that's the lower court judge who's making the decision for misdemeanors and before a case is gone up to Superior Court, to the Superior Court judge, in the end, they're going to be the ones to make the decision. And you had an additional comment.
All I'm saying, I'm not condemning anybody, I'm just saying, the fact of the matter is, that if the sheriff department arrests a guy, they take him to the jail, the next day he gets out. So it's a waste of damn time, a waste of resources, that's what I'm saying.
Can we take and bus them to the judge's neighborhood?
So we had a question back here. How often is our office appearing for the arraignments and those release conditions hearing? So when the lower court judge is making a decision on a felony, we generally don't get the advance notice, so we're not present. Once they have been gone up to Superior Court, then we are present for every hearing thereafter.
Do they go to the lower court first, and then who makes the decision to let them go?
So the lower court will see all felonies that have been booked in first.
So that's the one we need to get rid of?
So every judge at the lower court is gonna be getting the same pressure from the Arizona Supreme Court to release anybody. And they're getting a lot of pressure from, obviously, we're hearing it secondhand, they're getting a lot of pressure. I saw a hand in the back, sorry, I know you guys.
Does criminal history include how many times they've been arrested or just convicted?
So the criminal history is gonna include how many times they've been arrested and as well as how many times.
They don't have a record.
So if they've been arrested and their fingerprints have been taken, it gets entered into the system. But the judge is not going to be considering an arrest the same way they would a conviction. The judge is gonna put much more emphasis on that conviction because that means that they've, beyond a reasonable doubt, they've committed the crime.
How much vandalism and theft do they have to do to make it a felony?
So, it's not necessarily about how much they've done. For theft,
It used to be a dollar amount in the old days.
it's a dollar amount for theft. So it is gonna be a dollar amount for criminal damage, which is vandalism, that's dollar amount, how much the damage is being done. For theft, it's dollar amount. So a lower amount is gonna be a misdemeanor, a higher amount is gonna be
So
a
they're not
felony.
getting charged with felonies.
If it's a lower dollar amount.
So what are the dollar amounts, is what he's asking.
Okay, what are the dollar amounts?
Yes.
So for theft, it is going to be, I believe, 250, and then under 1,000 is gonna be the cutoff for the felony, and then above 1,000 is gonna be up to fairly high felonies. A legislature, we have a vote on our legislatures too, and they're the ones who set the laws.
Is there a website or a location you can go to see who's been in court or who's, in jail. I mean, I know back in Illinois, I can go online and I can Google somebody's name and I can see what they've been arrested for and stuff like that.
Arizona Public Access is a website that allows you to do a search of a person's name to find out
You have
if
to
they
have a
have
name.
an active criminal case or if they have an older criminal case. There are certain crimes that will not be on public access. Crimes that involve children as a victim will not be on public access to protect the children's privacy. But other crimes, it will have the information, the person's name, it'll have the charges, and then it will have some of the older court dates. And then you can see what they've got charged.
Do you know if there's any way to narrow it down about people who've been charged here in Bouse? So that we can kind of, skirt around the edges of those pictures that you can't do.
So it lets you search just by name, it doesn't let
Name,
you
no
search just by
location of where
location.
location.
So are there any programs for like our meth heads that are discharged? Is there treatment centers or any treatment opportunities for them?
So ironically, you asked that question. Today I was at the state capitol. That's why I'm dressed in my nice uniform, because I was speaking on behalf as representing one of the sheriffs in the state of Arizona, because there's opioid funding at the state level that we can utilize to do what's called wraparound services for treatment centers, job training, mental health. There's all kinds of different things. So I was over there trying to speak to advocate for La Paz County to get some funding so I can open up a program like that, because the recidivism rate here in this county is through the roof, and it's the same people. It's a revolving door. We all know that. I'm tired of seeing it. I know you guys are tired of seeing it because you guys live in these communities just like I do and have to worry about it. So I'm trying my best, but I did get shot down by the Chairman Livingston of that committee, telling me that if I did not already have a program established, then he wasn't going to give that money to us. It was only going to go to the 4 counties that already had programs established. I said, well, that's unfair. So you're going to penalize me for being rural Arizona and not having a program already standing up. I'm asking you to help me with some money so that I can establish that program, and then we will figure out ways to ensure that that program continues, because I'm sure it would be productive, positive, and the communities would support it. Would we not?
Yes.
Why don't you give us his name so we
Give
can...
us his name and we'll get on him. Seriously.
So it is John Livingston. He's a representative from Maricopa County, but he's the chairman of that board, and he was the one leading the charge today. But I'm not giving up, trust me, and all my people around here know that I'm very diligent in fighting for this county. I've been told, for a very small county sheriff, you sure do have a big voice at the state capitol, and everybody seems to know you now, because they didn't know us as well as La Paz County up in Phoenix. But I'm there. I drove there this morning left at 6 o'clock in the morning, and drove straight back to this meeting here.
Tell them you're a large county, square mile wise, not population,
And I did tell them.
and they need to look at that differently.
I did, and I also told them that rural Arizona suffers from the same issues that metropolitan Maricopa County suffers from. So please don't forget about us. Yes, ma'am.
I have a question. I don't live in town. I live out off McVeigh, in the middle of nowhere. What can I do to what are my rights to keep myself safe? Is it just if somebody's hurting me, or if my property's, my 5 acres is all fenced? What do I do if somebody's coming at me?
Shoot 'em.
I know, everybody says shoot him, I just don't wanna be in jail for. No, I mean, no, I'm not going.
Do you have any money? If you're broke, you won't go to jail.
But all sitting aside, I mean, I know that, but do I have to be in imminent danger?
I'll get her next.
Pardon?
So you have to be in fear of your life.
Okay, what constitutes legally fear of my life? Because my fear of my life is gonna be way different than fear of
I would agree with that.
So what, do they have to be so close? Do they have to have a weapon? Or do I just have to think they're gonna hurt me? Because a man can come at me with no weapon and I could be dead.
Well, I'm not a lawyer, so I'm gonna give it to Rachel, but
Please,
I'm gonna tell you this. You're right, you're a woman, you're elderly, so you well, it's not like me going against another man.
I'm sorry.
What I'm saying is that for your protection,
Yeah.
the level is a lot lower than it would be for me, right?
Yeah.
So keep that in mind. and protect yourself.
Shoot him. Shoot him. At least shoot
I
him.
didn't say that. So the lawyer answer, and I won't leave it here, is it depends. And so what, like you said, what it is for you is the different than it's one that's gonna be for the sheriff. It's gonna be in fear for your life and it's reasonable. So what would the rest of your community, would they think that's reasonable that you were in fear for your life?
Yes.
If the rest of your community, if the community would consider that's reasonable fear for your life, you can defend yourself. But that's gonna be the standard, it's reasonable. Would
Yeah.
somebody else looking at it think it's
Yeah,
reasonable?
I'm not going to go out chasing people
Right.
and stuff like that, but if something's coming at me, I'm not gonna let them get a hold of me and then say, you know.
I would expect you to do that. I would expect anybody in this room to protect themselves.
Thank you.
We live in rural America, and law enforcement unfortunately is not right next door. We don't live in a town, we're in a county, so we're extended lots of times, so you have to protect yourselves. But be mindful about what you're doing, you know, like you said, don't go out chasing people.
Don't give you the right to walk out the road and start pulling
No,
guns.
it doesn't.
As the old adage says,
Right.
if they fall out the
You have
door,
to be mindful
pull them
and
back
reasonable.
in.
Okay, in the very back, yes ma'am.
Pull, if you shoot them and they fall out your door, pull them back in the house.
Invite him in for a sandwich, then shoot him.
You're gonna pull a gun on me, 'cause
It appears that you can't post pictures, but why can't we get the sheriff to send something to the Department of Pioneer? I called them to find out why it was not there any longer, and they said because they don't get reports from the sheriff's office. At least if you have a little tidbit, what's going on, if you watch out for each other.
And I don't know why that stopped, I know it stopped prior to my appointment. Commander, do you know that by chance?
They stopped it about a year prior to, I thought maybe it was because of legal issues, but I'm not sure.
They got tired
I'd have
of
to ask
everything.
Rachel.
So Rachel and I will look into that, and I have no problem, I think it's a great idea, because,
We used to go out to the
right.
county, Patrick County, they had a newspaper, when the arrest reports were in there, they stopped, and people would show us going down the lakeside, got together, and petitioned against the newspaper. That's what happened.
Yeah, as long as there's no legal, okay, she's gonna research it and we'll get back to you guys, but I don't have a problem doing it. Yes, ma'am.
My question for Rachel, if it appears to us that the lower court judges are being particularly lenient. I know that in the ballot pamphlet that comes out, there's like a scorecard of other judges judging judges to see, like, are they doing a good job? Is that our only recourse, or if we just keep seeing the same judges being what we consider overly lenient, who do we complain to? Who do we, is there a bureau or the state bar or something like that?
So the lower court judge is not an attorney, so the lower court judges do not have to be attorneys. The superior court judge, so that's Judge Kelly, is an attorney, but he is governed by, they're both governed by the Judicial Ethics Board. So that's only if they're doing something unethical. But the way, if you believe that the judge is not reflecting the values of the community, is the ballot box. That's how you reflect what you believe the community values are and whether or not they're reflecting those community values. We can't provide, we have to appear in front of the judges. We can't provide any sort of input or feedback like that with regard to those judges.
No, I wasn't thinking that you would, but if there was a bureau or.
So if it's an ethical issue, then it would be the Judicial Ethics Board. If it's just an issue of reflecting community values, that's the ballot box.
Well, if we're gonna put it in the paper, these people that are getting arrested, maybe we put in what the judges do and when they,
Put the judge's name next to theirs.
Release back on the street, bye. Like an
Barry, you had a
author.
question?
I do. When you were making your decision on how many convictions that someone is brought in under, does a plea bargain count as a conviction?
So the judges make their decision based upon what convictions there are, how old they are, and what type they are. So a plea agreement does result in a conviction. It just results in a specific charge that they're being convicted of. But a plea agreement will always result in a conviction, yes.
Do your judges get the criminal history time limit? Is it presented with the charging instrument, time limit?
So,
What is your question?
So the question was, do the judges get the criminal history at the time of the arraignment? So the lower court judge, at the time of the initial appearance, is provided something what's called a PSA. So it's a public safety assessment, so it's done by the probation department. So the probation department is actually the one who looks at their criminal history, and they notate what the person's prior history is, what convictions they've got and what FTAs they've got. But it is a one-page document that doesn't have all of their criminal history. It doesn't have all the arrests. It's reflecting convictions and failures to appear. When it comes time for the Superior Court, and we're arguing the release conditions in front of the Superior Court, we do have their criminal history, and we are bringing up any arrests that they've got, particularly arrests that are for similar sorts of things that they're being charged with. And I've got a hand over here, and then I'm going to
So how do these judges look at these cases, like the ones here in Bouse or Salone, and see these names, and not get pissed off that they're in there every other week? Because they're at the grocery store laughing at you, not the judge or Tony, but you guys. Because you guys are doing your job and,
They're getting away.
you know, and it's gonna force one of us, they're gonna break into all of us pissed off people, and we are gonna shoot. And I don't believe that we'll get let out, even though
We'll see
I've
on it
never
again
had one
soon. We all
conviction in
know
my
that.
life, you know?
Real quick, can you paraphrase some of these questions, because we can't hear everything, and our voices are going out.
We're talking about you.
It'll be online. So one of the comment up here was that, do the judges, are they aware, they gotta see the name and realize it's the same person over and over and over again? Because the criminals are laughing at law enforcement saying, I got away with it, I'm back here on the street, and I'm gonna be doing the same crime tonight, right? So that was a statement and kind of a question.
Do they, on the same line of that, what the judge sees, do they see how many are still open and pending that they haven't gone to court for? For the recidivism, yeah, I can't say that word. About how many times they're in, and the fact that they're here now 4 times and they haven't been convicted on the first one yet?
The question was, does the judge see how many open conviction, or open cases this person has for the recidivism purposes? And we're gonna let Rachel respond to that.
So, if it's included in the PSA from the probation department, they're gonna have that information. So, particularly if it's local, the probation department generally will include that information. Or if it's an Arizona case and they can tell that it's open, sometimes the criminal history may be a little bit vague, so they're not able to fully tell if it's an open case. Sometimes things don't get appropriately reported to DPS or to other states' version of DPS, so it may be unclear if it's an actual open case or not.
Okay.
And, yes, sir, you've had your hand up for a while.
Last meeting, we were talking about the neighborhood watch, and implementing that. I was just wondering, everybody's in here, what you thought about it, and what do you guys think about the neighborhood watch?
And the question was, what do we think about a neighborhood watch? And that's actually something we discussed yesterday.
Correct, it is. So, I'm sorry. So I know that some areas of the community already have a neighborhood watch established, but we encourage everyone to get on board and create a neighborhood watch, because you guys are the eyes and ears out here that we don't have. We can't be out here 24/7, unfortunately. So with you guys working with us, we can have that collaboration. The information will travel faster and go through the proper channels quickly so that we can get the response that's needed. When somebody sees a suspicious vehicle in your area, right? I've had a couple conversations with some people in the community about these things. So we encourage it.
Can we go to Kingman and complain to our supervisor?
It's a little bit of a drive, George, so.
Straighten that up.
What's considered excessive force?
Pertaining to what?
Say my neighbors are elderly. They call me before they know you won't be out here for a half hour or so. Can I go protect them?
Yeah, it's again, what we talked about earlier, what's reasonable.
It's reasonable because my neighbors aren't feared for their lives.
You have to be very articulate on that situation. We can't really give you legal advice into that situation, but I think we're all fairly intelligent here, we can figure out right, what we need to do to protect ourselves and our friends and family. Back in the very back, down with the stripes.
Do you have a breakdown of the different crimes that are reported in our area and the different types of arrests that you're actually making?
So I have a bit of a breakdown, but we don't have it all because we didn't know what was gonna be questioned here today. But, the most common crimes that we're dealing with, drug possession, drug use, thefts and burglaries, domestic violence, are the ones that we see most predominantly out here, in this area.
On the court issue, when they go to, say the lower court, where do we find out when they're being sent to the court so that we can show up?
So the initial appearance in front of the judge, that's when she sets that first bond, it's held within 24 hours of their arrest, so there's no time for it to get posted anywhere. The Superior Court has posted on their website every single Friday afternoon, they post a new calendar for that next week. The lower court's calendar from the Ponce County Justice Court also has up on their website their weekly calendar, and it is posted generally about Monday morning. So if you want to look on their calendar, it will tell you everything that is set for that next week. They don't have their calendars set out prospectively further in the future because it's constantly changing, things are being added to the calendar, removed from the
Are
calendar.
those sites, linked to the main county site for those courts?
No, it's called a county docket, and it's posted outside the courthouse.
Yes, I don't know that they're necessarily linked to the county's website, but you can just do a search for La Paz County Clerk of Court, and it'll give you a link that'll go to the Superior Court, and then La Paz County Justice Court for the lower court's calendar. And like Sheriff said, we can't give you legal advice, and we can't anticipate every single scenario. What we're telling you is not to go out and try to take the law in your own hands, but at the same time, be reasonable in protecting yourselves. So beyond that, it always is gonna be, and the lawyer answer is, it depends. And I know everybody hates the, it depends. And, okay.
We have a question on the far back.
Sheriff Ponce, my question for you. I live near the store at the gas pump. And I can watch on the camera at least every night and all day long. And if you look out the door across the street, you'll see there's at least 25 vehicles that most of them don't belong to the people. No tags, no inspection, no insurance, no driver's license. And they go up and down our alleys to get gas every day, but they never get pulled over. And if I'm without for 5 seconds of sticker, I get pulled over. And that's at least 25 vehicles that older folks pass away, or they just steal them off the porch, and they just drive them around until somebody catches on.
Okay, well, I got all my traffic people in the room here.
And that's how they steal stuff, in these cars.
Right. The problem with this, the theft part, we can handle the vehicle registration and things of that nature, but the theft part is hard to prove when, like you said, many of these people are deceased, so we don't have a victim to attach that piece of property to. That's one of the discussions that we've had.
Well, none of those people own a vehicle.
Right.
So if they're driving a vehicle, chances
And if our guys catch them,
nobody's gonna loan them a vehicle.
and if our guys catch them and they, and they can identify those things, then they will take action on that. But we just can't assume stuff. Yes, ma'am.
The thing is,
Does that make it a
we have
felony?
freedom off grid off of 41 and we can't protect our property 5 months out of the year. And they went down and they just destroyed our fifth wheel and stole from us. But there's no way of getting it back because once they've taken it, they go to Parker or Portside and sell it and never get that back.
So here's a couple of things that we had talked about. One thing is if you're gone for that much time, we have vacation watch requests that you can do through our dispatch center, and our deputies will go patrol through your neighborhood, by your house, and if they see something out of place or whatever, that will help, one way to help
Well,
assist.
the deputies were down there and they caught a couple of them.
They did catch a couple of them?
Well, yeah, they caught the girl and the guy took off on foot. But they were coming back to get more stuff, like our batteries.
Right.
You know, we had to replace them, it's $2,000.
Right.
In batteries.
So one of the things that we had discussed, and we don't know how receptive the community is gonna be, but, engraving your guys' property with some serialized numbers, so that way you know it's yours, or initials and a serial number or something to that effect. If you guys have, you know, those type of tools, if not, I have said that we can buy something through our task force RICO monies that we have, so that we can come out here and do that for you, where we can buy the item and then maybe somebody will volunteer to do it. And we do like a community day where we're doing that, to help you guys, because we understand, some people can't afford elaborate camera systems and security
Our
systems.
neighbor does, that's how we were alerted, he saw it on his ring camera, they were breaking into his place, and they couldn't. So they come down, we're the last ones down by the wash.
And these criminals that they know, they look for the cameras, they look for everything before they come and burglarize your home, unfortunately, and
The
I'm
thing
sorry.
about it was your neighbor that gave them the information.
What's that, I'm sorry?
Your neighbor that gave them the information pointed out the wrong people and had the cops going to the wrong house.
Oh, how do you know?
Because I'm the person they sent the cops to.
Holy cow.
And the guy they arrested
where I
got
got
looked
that battery I
nothing.
bought from you?
That and, that and somebody's truck, you know exactly, you know.
Carry on.
So, I think one of the things that we're looking for is that we are probably a half hour, sometimes an hour, depending on where you're running around to, where
Right.
your deputies are running around to. So what can we do? The other thing that we've heard a lot of is that even when you arrest them, the tone has been that, there's not enough evidence to take it all the way through. So how as a community, how can we help ensure that you're gonna have the evidence you need to get them off the road? Because this is a partnership, we
Right.
have to work together.
Agreed.
We just stand in public, call them out, that's what I do. Call them out, a thief, right in the road running parking lot, that they're a thief.
Just don't get yourself into an altercation, because we don't want to respond to that. But one of the things I'm gonna say is the inscribing of your serialized numbers, to have that, take photographs of your property. If you can't afford a security system, by all means, buy a security system, because video is great for prosecution, and it would help us. You know, a picture's worth 1,000 words. It really is, and that's why it helps to get to secure that.
That's what saved me, because
Right.
they said they followed the tire tracks to my house. And gentleman's here that said he saw that, you know. Well, good thing the officer that came out had better eyes than him, because he could clearly see I wasn't walking.
Well, thank
Had
God.
ankle damage, you know, and he's
Right.
like, you know, I could see you weren't out here at 5 o'clock in the morning.
Right.
But they clearly said, Roger said that I was on video, and my 70-year-old lady friend that hangs out with me all the time were carrying generators out. Now you've got the police looking for the wrong people. 2 days went by, that lady went by your house while the sheriff was there. If you talk to Braun saw the lady go by your house with her truck loaded down again while the sheriff was at Cowboy Rick's place taking the report that I was the one that did it. Next thing you know, the sheriff's at my house, and she's sitting there robbing your place with the sheriff right there.
And that's, some of these criminals are that
It
intelligent about how they do it, right?
And I drove down there 2 days later, and I seen her the day they chased her out in a stolen Toyota 4-wheel truck.
They got nothing but time, that's all they do, this is what they think about how to rip us off. I know there's a question over here.
So why can't the task force provide immediate probable cause and evidence?
I'm not gonna get into the weeds about it, but we do have our task force, we have our general investigators and our.
Not in undercover.
Right, we have guys out there working. But we-
I've seen them.
But we have to have all the elements to be able to make the arrest. And all these guys, all these criminals, they know how to hide under the radar.
Yeah.
They've been doing, this is how they lived for years, we know that.
And
They've
they
been
live
in our
out here,
communities for
there's some
years.
of them, if you go down 72, there's little fences off of 72, and you drive 3 miles back into the desert, and you find they've got their camps back in there.
Right.
But you don't know they're there.
Right.
I didn't know they're there until I found a guy broke down and took him home.
Right. And that's where the communication is key. I know this gentleman back here had a question for a while, and he's had his hand raised.
You know, I think the sheriff does a great job. I think for the issues and the area they have to cover, they're doing a great job. However, I think the court system is our problem, and you see these guys that do a crime, and then they're back out on the street before the cop gets done for another court officer.
I agree.
And there's something wrong with that whole situation.
That's all over.
And I don't care what you say about it, or state law or not state law, the state is wrong. You know, when somebody out here loses $50 or $1,000, and it doesn't go in as a felony, it hurts them just as bad.
Agreed, and we have the same frustrations you do. As citizens, we all have the right to vote. We need to get out and vote and make sure that we're looking at who we're voting for and why we're voting for them. Because our country has become very lax, and they don't want to prosecute anybody. They don't want everybody. They think we're all just going to get along and sing kumbaya. Well, it's not going to happen, because there's people out there that are committing crimes against us. And they see the system is lax, so they're taking advantage of that, and we are all suffering.
So why don't they lock them up and keep them there then?
Everything why we just explained it, because you have people in positions where they say, oh no, that's keeping them in jail is not working. Well, then what are we doing? We're gonna let them out and continue to victimize the citizens? It's not right.
How about the ones that are living out here in
as
the
the
desert off
voting
of
public
Joshua?
are the only ones
They're
who can
literally-
change the
They've been
system.
living there for 3 years, I know of it, they've been camped out. And I've called the sheriff, I've called BLM, they go out there, the people are still there, they've got, the only thing they did is clear their 7 dogs out.
So in regards to those property, and I'll let Rachel speak a little bit on that, she probably doesn't want to, but in regards to those property situations, that's very difficult for us, because what people are doing, they are going back to the olden days where if I reside on this property, it is now mine. Well, that time is long past.
And that's
Okay.
what they're doing.
Right,
I mean,
they're trying to do
literally
that.
setting up.
They are squatting, and they think I've been here for this long, it's now my property, and now they're building property on it because I've improved the land. Well, that's illegal. But it's very difficult for us as law enforcement to get into that aspect of things, so that's where the county attorneys and the courts have to get involved in.
But if they don't get involved, if you don't get involved first.
She's gonna speak on that. Because I have to have a victim to be able to take action on something. If I don't have a property owner, because we had a problem here in Bouse, not too far from here, a couple of years ago when I first became sheriff, people squatting in houses over here, and John
We
remembers
called
this.
day 2 when they moved.
Right.
When they moved
Okay.
in, we called on day
So
2.
what happened was, because my deputies were even afraid to take action because they got rights, we can't violate their rights. I said, what rights? They don't own the property. Well, we can't find who the owner is because they're somewhere else in Vegas, right? That was what I was told.
Yeah.
So I have no victim. So I told my deputy, I said, you know what? Go over there and tell them that we're gonna arrest them if they don't get off the property. Well, we can't do that, that's lying. I said, we're not gonna arrest them. We're trying to get them out of the property because they're creating a problem in the community. And the citizens are tired. And I'm tired of hearing it.
And we kicked them out of the county.
Right. So I had to go out there, myself and Commander Larry Irwin went out there by ourselves because we couldn't get certain people to go take action that worked for us, which really frustrated me. Myself, and go tell the people, get off the property or I'm gonna arrest you. And we did it like 3 times. Finally, guess what? They vacated the premises over there. But I, as the sheriff, shouldn't have to do that.
Now they're all right over here.
So now I know, and that's what they do, they just move to somewhere else.
Just migrate.
And really what you're looking for is not necessarily just from a prosecution, it's just getting them to leave.
Yeah.
And that's the more difficult problem, isn't it? Is
You know,
getting
well,
them
the
to
bad thing,
leave.
you know, I'll tell you, Sheriff Ponce, if you come down about 9 o'clock at night, hang out by the dollar store, you'll find every other criminal in this town. They start coming out about 9 o'clock, they hit the dollar store. And some of the people that are selling drugs are in the dollar store.
Right.
What you're saying is if you come out at 9 o'clock at night to the dollar store, you're gonna find everyone who's involved in that.
But that's when they know you're asleep. So they wanna be out here committing the crime when you guys are sleeping. I know that Judy has a question or a comment.
Sheriff Ponce, a few years back, we had discussed like a posse situation out here. Have you ever given more thought to that?
So one of the things that kind of came into light was that liability that we would incur. So we have to be real methodical about how we're doing that. We're still working on it. We wanted to get the staffing levels up where we're fully staffed, and then we would work on that project. So that is still on the list of things to do.
Could you tell us, could you repeat her question?
I'm sorry. The question was that we're not, Judy and I had a conversation quite some time ago about establishing a posse out here. Is that still something that I want to do? Yes, it is something I want to do. One of the things that was a concern in speaking with the county attorney's office was the liability that would be incurred by the department by creating that. So we have to establish the guidelines very thoroughly to ensure that we're all protected. But it is something that we intend on doing.
Do any of your deputies work off hours to where, this is just, I know where I came from, they did. The community would get together and pay a salary for one of the deputies to come and patrol, like on whatever bad nights they were.
So I can't do that.
Off the books, or?
I can do like if they're hosting a function here or something, they can come and work at a function,
Right,
but I
That's
can't.
on duty.
but that's on their duty, not on our.
We wanna know, can they be hired like private security? So at 9 o'clock on Thursday, when we know the biggest stuff's going on down at, the dollar store, that we can have them just
hire them for a
casually
couple
come in
hours.
as a-
I understand
Hire
you-
one of your
I
deputies.
understand what you're saying. I really would have to research that and sit
Okay.
down with Rachel to determine what the legalities of us doing it.
Which came from police background
Right.
with,
A county in Illinois.
Yeah, and thank you for your service. And I know the East Coast or Midwest is a little different on how they do things.
Yeah,
But
right,
But
right.
that's
we
why
will
we
look
asked
into it. We have no
It's
problem.
only third year here, so.
Right.
so-
But we've also established we're gonna call it a task force, street crimes unit, that we're trying to get up and off the ground. But we are hitting areas that we believe to be our high volume areas, and this is one of the areas. So we've been out trying to be more present and attack those crime areas. And
Right.
the road, hearing about the store and Dollar General and those things, those are things we're gonna keep in mind. And we all know now, so we've got them in our heads. I appreciate this conversation because it also helps educate me.
Well, if I'm sitting out there with the beer on the side of my phone.
Yes, sir, you have a question?
You know, I mean, as far as voting goes to try to change the laws for the courts and stuff like that, when you go to Phoenix and you go to Tucson, they got 10 times the amount of people that there are here. So can you really change it? Or are you just fighting a dead horse because they're on a different part of the block than we're on?
Yeah.
I still think that our rural votes in America still can affect change.
Amen.
We're the strong people here.
Yes,
We're the survivors.
yes.
We don't live in the city and we don't have all the little hoity-toity little things. We got to survive out here.
And the reason we're survivors is because we all have guns.
Well, that's true.
Here, here.
We come from a different era.
No, go ahead.
Okay, I'd like to get a consensus. There is a program that's nationwide. It's called the Constitutional Sheriffs. And it's a training program where citizens can help the sheriff's office. It is a sort of a posse, but you have to be trained, and it's all of the legal stuff, and it goes by the Constitution. And the sheriff is the most powerful law person in the country.
In the
If you're
county.
going by.
In the county.
In the county.
Yeah, you go by our U.S. Constitution. That's what it states. We're the only
Exactly.
constitutional officer.
If there's some interest in that, perhaps maybe at the next booster meeting or at the next, Ghost Riders meeting, if someone else can bring it up and we can maybe just gather 15 or 20 people that would wanna go for the training, I think you can take it offline. But
Okay,
and then-
I'm
and then
gonna
there's-
cut you all off in about 5 minutes, so these guys have been grilled enough. The other thing I'm gonna add to what you just said, there is an online course called Tactical Civics. If you haven't been on that website, everything this gentleman and this lady tonight have discussed about our judicial system is taught on that. I think an annual membership is something like $50. But if you're interested in the judicial system, it's a wonderful place to get the base that our judicial system is built on, and it'll help all of us understand what these guys do.
Barry, you have a question?
I do. We were talking a little bit ago, LaPaz County is a very big county, however, it only has certain cities around here. Now, we have thieves working right here, or we have thieves in Wyndon, and we have that, and they have a limited amount of space to sell the products that they steal. when your officers go out to do a theft report, if they could take a description of what was stolen and maybe a picture, and the sheriff's office could put it online for people around here. Just the other day, there was 3 guitars recovered right here at the laundromat. If everybody knew about that, knew what was stolen as far as the product, I mean, he's kept this stuff simple, garage sales right here in town. But
Yeah.
nobody knows what's been stolen.
That's another
They
thing.
hate that story.
That storage unit, there's a particular van that I know the guy is a thief, been in and out of jail for thievery, and every time I go to that storage unit, that van would, or go to the laundromat next door, I see that van going into that storage unit. It's like, this guy is.
See, that's the stuff I need to know.
Yeah.
So, please share that with us.
Do you have a Crime Stoppers number? I mean, do you have a number to call?
We do not. Our best way is to call dispatch
Okay.
and leave a message for, you know, whoever, the patrol lieutenant or myself or the Commander Irwin, one of us will take that information and we'll disseminate where it needs to go.
Real quick, what she was asking about having a class or getting together for a class separate from you, isn't that what you were talking about earlier? Is getting people together and having that very thing?
Yeah, I'd like to see if we can establish something. If everybody's interested, we'll make it happen.
We are.
If you'd like to add to what you were just talking about.
Okay.
Sit down, Wanda.
So one of the things Lieutenant Jimenez just reminded me, because I skipped my mind, but we're working on a thing called the Sheriff. It's a program that you can purchase called the Sheriff's app. It would have all this information that you're all talking about wanting to know at the tip of your hands on an app on a phone.
Pictures of local criminals.
We would start, all that stuff would be able to be uploaded on there. It'd tell you who's in jail, all those kind of things. So we are in the process of doing that. It's just taking a little while trying to determine where that money's gonna come from, but we believe we've identified where it's gonna come from.
Okay, I have a question.
That's true.
Okay.
We have,
One second, I'll get you the, I'm sorry.
we have a neighborhood watch, and according to the national database, the local police force is supposed to have a neighborhood watch liaison. I called to update our records, and you don't have one now. You used to have one several years ago,
You know who
but
it
you
was?
don't have one now.
You know who it was?
Frank?
Frank
Well,
McDreamy?
the old sheriff had one.
That's a
Mi-
lot of
Miss-
money.
That's been a long time.
That's a long time ago.
Yeah.
Missy, I don't know her last name, Missy.
The Missy that's here?
I don't know.
Yeah, she
She was one of our deputies.
Okay, well, maybe so. Were you involved in neighborhood watch? No.
So
Not
we'll look into that. I'm not aware that but like I said, our liaison for this area is Detective Quintana, who's seated over there.
Well, I called the sheriff's office and asked for the neighborhood watch liaison,
I'm not aware of any of that.
and they said they don't have one.
We need one.
I've never been aware that we had to have one. Even when I worked at Courtside, we had neighborhood watch and we didn't have a specific liaison, but we can figure out how to make that happen for you.
Okay.
Okay? I know you had a question, ma'am, I'm sorry.
Out where we live.
That's a great idea.
We do have a community watch in response to the gentleman's question about posting these criminals' pictures online. Maybe you guys, as the authority figure, can't legally do it. As we as individuals, can we post their picture and put them on blast? Without any legal repercussion, not talking about the fee.
Sending them from phone to
Facebook.
phone.
Warning shots.
Right. Well, I didn't hear that, but anyways. But what I can,
And pigs eat anything, so.
well, hey, you do what you gotta do, you know? But it just depends on how you obtain the information. Well, that's, you know what I mean? That's your right. Just be careful, that's all we're gonna say.
I think you're right.
So, so real quick, Commander Roman made a good comment here. was one of the problems that we have is if we're posting the photos of the property that was stolen immediately, these guys are also looking on social media, right? They're paying attention. They're like, okay, well, they know I stole this, so now they're trying to dump the goods somewhere real quick. Because most of the time they hold on to it and try to wait for their highest bidder to sell
Look
it.
on Bouse, you'll find it for sale usually pretty
Right?
quick.
So at that point, you need to call us and let us know, and hopefully you got photos, you got serial numbers to your property, so that way we can track it back. If we have the serial numbers in our reports, then that's an easy for us to get that person, take them into custody. There was a question in the back somewhere. Yes, sir.
Okay, as a community, we have seen patterns of crime. Not always theft. Sometimes it's a fire, sometimes it's a punch in the back of the head, all different things. So we have a theory of who's doing it. Is there any way that we can put these dots together and you have a file that you look at to see that this looks familiar, this looks familiar, this looks familiar?
That-
Because these people are alienated what they're doing.
Right. So, yes, that's exactly what we do, what our detectives do. They try to put all the dots together with any information that you can provide us that is factual. And for our prosecutors, that helps us to further the case and get it to the goal line.
Okay, well, I'm trying to get the people together so we can put the dates together. So we can see this happened here, and then now we got a fire here. This happened there, and now we got a shot out window.
Right.
This happened here, and now we got another burned out RV.
Right.
We've got a lot of dots in here. But a lot of these people are women, and they're afraid to come forward. They have to have their names. Do you have to have their names?
Well, if they're a victim of a crime, yes, we'd have to have their names.
Okay, but if you have their names, you wouldn't release them to anybody else.
So if a person's a victim of a crime, if they are a minor, their name is not released. But if they're an adult, it is part of what we are required to turn over as part of disclosure. So if there is a witness of a crime, we have to tell the defense attorney who that witness is as part of disclosure. We have no choice in that. Our case can get destroyed in court if we don't comply with the disclosure laws that require us to turn over the police reports and that information law enforcement has collected. So that's why law enforcement is gonna try to collect everything up front so that we've got a case built, and hopefully we can do things that don't necessarily rely upon a witness who's scared to build a case without them. But the more information we've got, the better. I did want to note, we did go ahead and print out some checklists for Neighborhood Watch. If anybody who's not part of Neighborhood Watch already is interested, we'll leave some of this information up front if anyone wants a copy of it. We did bring it.
You as a police officer or the county, they connect to that, they were looking and say, this kind of funny that they were here, and this happened,
Yep.
now they were here, and this happened.
Yes, we do. We try our best to try to connect the dots because we believe a lot of these crimes are connected, obviously.
Yes.
But it's a matter of being able to make sure that we can connect those dots, like Rachel stated. In order, we have to have all of our I's dotted and our T's crossed to ensure that we're gonna be able to get that conviction. Otherwise, we're kind of in limbo.
Is there
But
a
I'll tell you,
particular,
there's a lot of people in town that are getting very fed up. And there's certain talk that it's time to retaliate, it's time to teach them, that you gotta stop. Okay, we're not gonna put up with this. And in our neighborhood, we do watch out for each other.
And I appreciate that.
Every time somebody goes down the street, and we don't recognize that car, who is it? And we question, we're worried. So, but, you know, in this area here, we got people that stay out in the desert, and, you know, they're not all homebound, they're not sure.
That's why you need to take down, I would say start writing down license plates, any descriptions of people, anything that you see as suspicious activity, and start reporting that.
Okay.
The neighborhood watch, groups, that's the kind of stuff that you want, and to bring that to law enforcement so that we can act on those things.
like this lady here, I know where she lives, she's out in the middle of nowhere, she is on solar. She don't have, the capability
Right.
to have that Wi-Fi going all year round.
Right.
I've been looking for stuff to where I can find it on my phone. I found something just recently called Barn Owl. Is there a particular security system that you know of that where you don't necessarily have to have
we're looking at some stuff, but the problem is that everything is off of the internet, off of Wi-Fi. So we're trying to find, because we've had that discussion, have we not, Commander? And we're working on something right now, but
It's called Bar now, what I found today, that says, you don't, it works to your phone, and it's got an antenna comes out, it's supposed to be 3 times stronger than the signal on your phone.
And what's the price of it?
It's actually pretty cheap.
Okay, well, we'll take a look at it and we'll kind of see.
Don't help me with my phones and I don't know.
Yeah.
I need security for my own home because when my wife and I are at work, we've incurred debt. And, I can tell you right now, I've been searching and searching, but everything wants the internet now.
Right. Yeah, that's the problem. Sir, you have one last question. That's exactly what we need right here. You know what I mean? Don't engage them, but photograph anything you can give, descriptive, license plates. Right, all those, that's again, that's what we need.
Coming into her place, they were coming in different ways. I was following guys tire tracks. It had rained, so I was like.
We want to thank you all for having us out here today. We appreciate it. Looking forward to doing it again.
Thank you, Sheriff. Thank you, Rachel. Before you all get up and leave, we actually have one more person who just has a short announcement, but it's a positive one for our community, so we wanted to share that. County Recorder, Richard Garcia, if you would come up here and tell us what you've been doing in your office, please.
Raise the taxes.
Please, people, take a seat.
Good evening. For those that know me, my name is Richard Garcia, County Recorder. Just wanted to, I'm not going to be very long, I just wanted to share some information as far as what our office, new services that our office is providing for the public. For the past 2 years, we've been hearing concerns about potential property fraud, when documents are recorded. So basically what we have is, it's called the Recording Notification Service. Thanks to this new monitoring tool, you can now subscribe and register names or business names that'll be monitored anytime there's a document that is recorded in my office. So, for example, let's say somebody recorded a document with George Nault's name on it, and he's registered for this service. It'll trigger an email it'll trigger an alert to his email, letting him know that this document was recorded, which prompts him to look into it to see if it has any ties to him or his property. That way, the customer can now take action on it. And again, this is only for potential property fraud. And so this is going to be a free service. It's very simple. You can just go to thecountyrecorder.com and subscribe to this service. So you can enter up to 8 names. And like I said, you can also enter business names. So you can do that as long as you have a good email. And if a document is recorded that is tied to you, you'll get that alert to your email, which will then you can act on it. So, Rhonda, you have a question?
I'm glad you got that going. I know you've been working on it,
And what was the name again?
Recording Notification Service. I got some flyers here. I didn't expect this many people, so I didn't bring it up. But it has the website where you can go to on here. Yeah, you can take a picture of it and take it with you. But it's very simple. It's very simple to register. And again, it's free. So,
Alright, thank you everybody for coming out. We'll try to do this again sometime when we can get the rest of the